Alien! Alien! The question on many fans' minds is, what the fuck was Jack Palance doing in a film like this? Hell, what was Martin Landau doing in a film like this? Even Cameron Mitchell's been a ton of shit, even worse than this. I'm John Rentham with a retro review of Without Warning from 1980, directed by Graydon Clark. Yes, MST3K fans, Riff Tracks fans will know that name and will absolutely be saying, no, not that guy, even though he does make films where he does seem like he actually tries to do something. I'm not sure what he actually tries to do, but he doesn't seem to be making movies just for a self-serving purpose, except for Star Games, a film that wouldn't have even passed for sci-fi in 1967, and it came out in 1997 or 1998. But yes, Graydon Clark. For those who don't know, Satan's Cheerleaders, Angels Brigade / Revenge. Yes, that one that was basically a Charlie's Angels ripoff that I think happened in Season 6 of MST3K. Also, The Return, something I need to check out at some point because it really can't be any worse than this. Final Justice, just one more Justice, please. Okay, but this is the Final Justice. Oh, goody, goody. And then also, Uninvited, the one about the weird cat creature thing. Dark Future, that Riff Tracks did. And yeah, the aforementioned Star Games. There were 4 people that wrote this. 4 fucking people were required to write this. I'm only thinking that that's the case because everybody else must have been drunk or busy or dead. Speaking of dead, Jack Palance looked like he was about to die here, and I don't think he died for another 14 or so years. But nevertheless, Lynn Freeman in their only credit. God, what a fucking thing to hang your hat on. Then again, writing a movie and then not writing any movies. Who wouldn't want to write something as bad as Without Warning? I want to make it clear, by the way, that actually there are a couple decent things in this, and if you're unfamiliar with Without Warning, eventually I'll get to the plot, meager as it is. Daniel Goodwick, who did Terror Train, that wasn't very good. You know, Tubi actually did 2 back-to-back versions of Terror Train. Terror Train 2. He also produced National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. The shitter's full. Boy, one of the shacks actually kind of reminded me of a full shitter. You had Bennett Tramer, who did Saved by the Bell and did other Saved by the Bell projects. And also Steve Mathis, who did camera and electrical work on various projects. So he kept busy. Actually, among everybody featured in the writing credits, he's actually the one that kept the busiest. So that's good. That's very good. So yeah, Jack Palance is in this as Joe Taylor. And then you have Fred Sarge Dobbs, played by Martin Landau. By the way, the $150,000 budget, just take half of that and give it to those 2 actors, because that's what they did. I know that people will do anything for money, and I don't blame people for taking on any project if they can get a payoff. And they certainly gave their all, but Jesus, you have got to be fucking kidding me. Martin Landau, by the way, who lived until 2017, despite the fact he looked like he was about 80 at this point. So you have Tara Nutter. I'm sorry. I can't help it. She plays Sandy, not Sandy Duncan, not Sandy Duncan's left eye. She plays the heroine of this. Speaking of which, I think half of the rest of the budget went to heroin because that's the only explanation for why a film like this was so messy and stretched out. Greg Christopher S. Nelson. Not Craig T. Nelson, no acting coach here. They needed one. Cameron Mitchell played Hunter, a man that was hunting. So as far as characters go, that's pretty goddamn accurate. You have Neville Brand. That's a name that might seem familiar. Sue Ann Langdon. You had Ralph Meeker. You had Larry Storch from F Troop. And a young David Caruso. You'll recognize David Caruso. He's the only fucking ginger they would allow on set. I don't know why I decided to take a shot at redheads. I like redheads. Some of my best friends are redheads. And I remember a nice girl that I was with that was a redhead. That was a nice fun, night to spend. Let's just move on from that. So yeah, Cammy Tripp goes absolutely tits up when an alien decides to hunt them. More like a bunch of wonton starfish type creatures hunt them because they don't show the alien until the last few minutes. And yeah, it's an old movie and I'm going to make fun of it. The $150,000 budget, by the way, which is admirable that they managed to stretch it out that much, especially with, again, half of it going to 2 of the stars, it would just be under $575,000 in today's money. And so that would be even more difficult to pull off an alien movie like that. So it was filmed in 3 weeks, and I think half of that shooting time was to get people out of their drunken stupor. It was not filmed well based on the intro. They were throwing the camera around. Apparently Graydon Clark is still alive and has not directed anything since Star Games. But then again, he was born in 1943, so are we really clamoring to get Great Uncle Clark back behind the camera? So, for some reason, drunk Cameron Mitchell, so Cameron Mitchell pretty much the last 15 years of his life, star of the original Death of a Salesman, whatever. He was like banging on the door trying to get his son up. Hubba, 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 hub. This does not look like knocking. But nevertheless, yeah, this music is a fun choice, stupid synth, and yeah, the alien frisbeed them to death. Basically, it's like those weird star creature things that you would see, like, baby jellyfish, like pressed up and everything, like you'd see their faces. And it just looks like wontons. Like, they just look like wontons with weird gooey things on them. They have weird tendrils that get inside you and kill you, I guess. It would have been better if they actually turned them into alien, like, hosts. Or, like, ones that could be controlled. In fact, I actually think that would have probably bumped this movie up half a star or at least a star. But, yeah, 4 idiots go on a camping trip. They run into Joe Taylor, who apparently has a taxidermy/gas shop. Martin Landau's Sarge is a discharged soldier named Sarge. Wow, that's creative. Who believes that aliens are invading. Unfortunately, aliens are invading, so at least he can feel justified later. And then Jack Palance basically says, don't go near the lake. Larry Storch was a scoutmaster that got killed. That was kind of funny. Become a huge Larry Storch fan, to study him and go around searching for everything about Larry Storch. He becomes an expert on Larry Storch. I'm just going to make occasional MST3K references. The Star Wars blanket was kind of funny. David Caruso doesn't make it very long. There is a shed for the water department where bodies are stored. By bodies, I mean like 3. The Scoutmaster and whatever. And yeah, this is a fun movie. I didn't expect much looking at this, and I really didn't think that it was going to be tremendous. But I'm trying to dive into more obscure, older, cheaper horror movies. Because watching current cheaper horror movies, you can at least see what they were trying to do here. Some of the current ones, they're just making them for like 50 to 100 grand. Maybe $50. And they're not good. So, yeah, everyone's dead in the shed. We have Greg and Sandy that are our sole survivors. And then they manage to get the keys after the starfish thing is hanging off of there. No, chocolate flavored water, that is. But hanging on there, and then they use the windshield wipers to knock that thing off. But they find the keys eventually stored in the little visor deal. Also, that van is the size of a goddamn planet, so they probably can't park it anywhere. So Martin Landau is Sarge. It was all about UFOs. Oh, yes, and then suddenly the bar they're in has the power cut off because I imagine they couldn't afford to pay the electrical bill. So, yeah, I just love the wonton wrap stuff, and Jack Palance gets, like, caught with one, but somehow survives. And then Greg and Sandy are panicking. They get picked up by a cop they don't realize is Sarge. Sarge is convinced that everybody is an alien. So they manage to get away from his crazy ass. They fall down, or they jump off a goddamn bridge. They break into an old cabin. By the way, I'm just skipping over a lot of the walking, a lot of the other stuff, because really, for like 80% of the movie, nothing happens. Again, admirable that they wanted to make a $150,000 budget in 1980s money alien movie, but god damn it, at least try to have something happen. I mean, go full crazy. I mean, take a loan out at the bank or something. Well, maybe not that, because I don't think this movie made its money back. But basically, they're in this cabin, and there was this synth cat. I mean, seriously, they couldn't even afford to have an accurate cat noise. It went... And funny, Great Uncle Clark would do the uninvited, or uninvited. That would have a cat acting all weird. So, let's make coffee and stay awake. Well, Greg isn't able to do that because somehow the alien wonton thing gets on his cheek and he's dead. But don't worry, Jack Palance is alive, even though he looked dead in this movie. He came back to life and shot the alien trying to break in and get Sandy Duncan's left eye. And then they escape, Meanwhile, it turns out that Taylor actually had all this dynamite that he was going to use to blow up this shed. Because it's the hunting ground, because he talked about hunting before. That's why you don't go near the lake. It's hunting season. And he doesn't know that I'm hunting him. Well then, Jack Palance and Martin Landau are fighting, which actually sounds a lot more hilarious in your head than it does in the movie. Sarge basically keeps getting starfished and wonton wrapped, but somehow manages to get the alien towards the goddamn shed after Martin Landau gets killed. Well, basically, actually, Jack Palance, after Sarge gets killed, Jack Palance gets there. And you gotta wire this shit properly, because he forgot to wire it, so Sandy wires it. Knowing how to wire dynamite is apparently a requirement for a 1980s idiot, heroine, woman. And she blows it up. By the way, the alien basically just stands there. Not even floating like the nuns and Blues Brothers. Yeah, like, I mean, the alien kind of looked cool, but it doesn't really do anything. It just... For a movie that should have been maybe not a slam dunk, but at least something fun, it just wasn't. Without warning, I'm going to give you a warning. Don't watch it. Just fucking don't watch it. Unless you want to watch it with a group of friends and make fun of it, which is really about the only thing you can do with movies like this. Agree, disagree with what I said? Like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Rickland. I'll see you soon.